Well, it looks like the big one just kicked off inside of the Middle East as we have videos like this that are now hitting all of social media.
Oh, God. Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're coming down. One just about... We got to go inside.
Yep, that video from CNN from Jim Susito, who is a chief anchor right now inside of Israel, documenting the rockets that have been fired by Iran towards Israel that looks like are somehow getting through the Iron Dome and, of course, hitting multiple targets inside of Israel, as there's a lot of videos that we're going to be playing for you right now that are coming out all on social media. As they break, we will be talking about them throughout the duration of this particular broadcast that, of course, is supported by your support, as I decided just to, of course, do this live stream rather than just a canned video. As this news is developing, it's happening, and it's major. It's huge. It's absolutely big, as right now we're getting reports of 150 ballistic missiles fired by Iran towards Israel, as some of them are being intercepted, some of them are not, as clearly the footage that you're seeing in front of your very own eyes right now highlight strikes that are happening in what looks like civilian territories inside of Tel Aviv. As one person just commented that Israel's Iron Dome is doing what it's supposed to do, while other people are saying fragments don't continue at that particular speed. Other people are saying praying for Israel, as of course this conflict has been a long time coming, as other people are saying, yeah, I'm also praying for Iran. I'm praying for everybody, as of course I've been warning about this for a very long time. Even yesterday we did a video right before October 1st saying, hey, what are going to be the larger October surprises? And we specifically detailed how Israel was going to be invading the south of Lebanon. We have a lot of developments specifically around that we're going to be getting into in just a little bit. And we told everyone it's going to be really interesting to see what Iran will do all of this, since, of course, quickly all of this could greatly escalate, as Israel always has been responding with a larger response than the initial attacks that they usually have to deal with, as they have a doctrine that they have specifically utilized in their particular country, highlighting how they are outnumbered, outmanned in that specific region, and how they need to, of course, overwhelmingly respond to particular attacks. That's the doctrine that they have kind of implemented with their own kind of aggressive, very not so friendly to their neighbors foreign policy. As a lot of people now will be, of course, picking sides here. We try not to do that here as an independent media organization. We try to call things out exactly like we see them. But this is dangerous. This is alarming, since Israel's response to this will be greater than, of course, the initial attacks that are happening against it right now. Will that mean there will be, of course, a retaliation? Of course. Now, how will Israel respond to all of this? We'll talk about that in a little bit, as, according to the New York Times, Iran also just released this video on social media saying that, quote, "We will come for you," an official message allegedly from the Iranians, as they just launched ballistic missiles. And this is just the beginning of a lot of serious developments that are going to be coming our way. By the way, after going through all the news reports, we got a lot of news reports to talk about the history of this, to talk about the start of this, to talk about the latest developments of this, to talk about how where this is going. As we're going to be going through all of this, if there's any super chats or mysuperchat.com through Streamlabs that are related to this, we of course will be interacting with them. If they're not related to the topics that we're discussing, we are not going to be, of course, addressing them, and we will address them later at the end of this particular broadcast, as this is the video that the New York Times published and released, allegedly from Iran, showing some of their propaganda efforts and videos behind the latest maneuvers of their bombing of Israel today. Yes, as it looks like there's a multi-pronged attack happening right now on Israel, as there's also reports of terror attacks happening in places like Jaffa, and other places with civilian casualties also being reported in places like Tel Aviv. There's another report coming in right now from News Cabinet reporting that the Prime Minister of Israel potentially bugged out of Israel. Yes, this is according to flight logs that allegedly are being publicly reported on right now. Again, I have not been able to independently verify this. This is according to News Cabinet, but they're saying, following warnings from the United States and Western allies about a looming Iranian attack involving ballistic missiles, drones, and UAVs, tensions are rising as Israel braces for, quote, Iran's wrath. And allegedly, the prime minister fled Israel. Now, is that true? We do not know that. All we got is, of course, this latest kind of information. It could be other members of his family, as well as there's also reports of Hezbollah launching their own kind of ballistic missiles inside of Tel Aviv, as there's also probably going to be some other activity happening with the Houthis inside of Yemen and probably the Palestinians as well, since Israel is starting multiple kind of fronts in their battles against their neighbors, as they're going to be fighting up against Hezbollah. They have been fighting, of course, in the south of their country against the Palestinians, and I think the Iranians have waited, since the Iranians have said that they're going to be retaliating for the assassination of a Hezbollah leader inside of their country against Israel very soon, that I think they waited for this particular moment to have Israel forces kind of stretched out in particular regions where this is a kind of opportune moment for them to kind of take advantage of this larger scenario of the Israeli military fighting in the south and north of their country. And I think this is why this is particularly happening right now, as of course they are now facing multiple threats, multiple enemies, all at the same time, as a lot of people now potentially worry about the use of a nuclear weapon. As we know, the Israelis do have a nuclear weapon. Will they use it for this particular kind of scenario as they're being attacked by multiple countries, multiple fronts, multiple terrorist organizations? That's going to be something that, of course, I think is an option that's on the table that we should be taking seriously. Personally, I rarely do live videos like this, but the developments, the news coming in right now, too vast to just do a canned video about. So I needed to go live because of everything that's developing, as we are praying for all citizens in all of the countries right now, as this is a very serious situation that will further escalate from here. Personally, one thing I'm thinking about, I got to go make the supermarket run right now. I got to go stock up on supplies. Then I'm kind of thinking, oh yeah, I'm pretty good on supplies. I got pretty much everything I need, as there's also a union shoreman strike inside of the United States that is also threatening to cut off supplies. But whenever there is a bigger conflict, whenever there's a bigger war, especially in the Middle East, you could expect energy prices to go up dramatically. Maybe I'll fill up more of my tanks of gas. Personally, myself, as this is October 1st. This is the October surprise, coming in hot, coming in quick, coming on the first day of October. And this will have global ramifications that I think will be very severe, and something that will be with us for the foreseeable future that sadly there's no getting away from. As of course we got other videos of the second wave of missiles allegedly coming from Iran. This could also be missiles coming from Hezbollah. This could also be missiles coming from the Houthi rebels inside of Yemen. All close proxies with the Iranians that look like they just have started their larger retaliation actions against Israel. Here's another clip coming from social media accounts from Israel. Now, those missiles look like they were specifically shot down. As you can see, there's a big difference between how these missiles are kind of flying. Although, I could be wrong here. But for my own personal kind of objective here, and everything that I'm personally seeing, it does seem like some of these missiles are being shot down. It looks like some of them are being fragmented, and some of them are legitimately flying down. And again, many people are having their comments and responses to this, saying prayers for Israel, prayers for the people in the Middle East, prayers for everyone, since largely this is a major geopolitical escalation that sadly has definitely changed the game and will change not only the political and social aspects of our life, but also the economic aspects of our life. As new reports now are coming in saying that there's more than 200 plus missiles that have been shot by Iran. Now, if you're Iran, strategically, you're seeing Israel fighting kind of a two-front battle. You're seeing your proxies kind of activated, also attacking them at the same time. If you're Iran, you know Israel's going to retaliate unless, of course, you make a decisive action in order to kind of devastate them. I'm just kind of thinking strategically how war generals would be thinking about this, as this is a major scenario here, and this is not the same kind of saber-rattling Iran that we previously saw beforehand, as these are missiles, these are bombs that are hitting targets, that are affecting civilian areas, that are taking the lives of individuals. These definitely don't look like high-precision kind of weapons. They look like ballistic missiles that just are being fired blindly into all of Israel. As, of course, there's probably going to be a lot of civilian casualties throughout all of this that are going to be very vast and very impactful with this current situation. As there's another video highlighting this particular clip with a caption that reads, "Israel getting hammered right now." Now, it's also important to note here, these are clips that are now being shared around social media. Doesn't mean that they're actually verified, legitimate clips. These are the clips that a lot of people are sharing right now. But as we've seen from previous kind of reportings about live breaking news events, a lot of the times, sometimes they're fake. Sometimes they're from different events. Sometimes they're even from video games. So take all the videos that I'm getting right now on social media with a little bit of discernment. But it does look real. It is legitimately Iran attacking Israel. 200 plus missile attacks. The latest reports coming in right now. Previous reports said about 150, and also larger kind of terrorist attacks happening inside of the territory and region inside of Israel as well. Here's the other clip going around social media right now, as people are saying this is potentially the beginning of the end. And I hate to sound hyperbolic. I hate to sound sensationalistic, but yep. As there's a reported 43,000 Americans in the Middle East right now, as we also got breaking news from the White House. Joe Biden woke up from his nap and now is directing direct U.S. military aid and assistance to defend Israel against the larger Iranian attacks that are happening against it. If you remember, the larger kind of symbolic retaliatory previous attacks by Iran that launched drones into the air were predominantly shot down by the American missile defense systems that the Iranians just kind of threw up in the middle of the air and said, yeah, we're going to respond to you guys for attacking our embassy inside of Syria by launching these drone attacks that are just going to fly in there. We're going to let you guys shoot this down. And we're going to look like we kind of saved face here. We're going to look like we're good amongst our kind of population. We're going to look a little tough here. And you guys are going to excuse all this. We're going to call it a day. And it's kind of a wag the dog kind of moment. That's what happened a couple months ago. This doesn't look like that type of moment. This looks like the real deal. As, of course, what's going to happen now to the people of Israel? What's going to happen now to the people of Iran? What's going to happen now to the 43,000 U.S. service members in the region right now that have been prepping and building up to this very specific moment? Well, the only thing we can do is pray. And I think prayer is going to be very important right now, as the Times of Israel is reporting. Again, direct aid and defense to Israel right now from the United States military and government. What does that mean? Will the United States take proactive actions right now against Iran? Will they be bombing some of their facilities? Yes. So we'll get into in a little bit what I think the response from the Israelis will be. As just a couple days ago, the Ayatollah literally went into hiding. He literally saw what happened to the leader of Hezbollah, and the infiltration of Mossad agents of the Iranian government is also very vast, as they were literally able to take out one of the chief Hezbollah politicians inside of Iran, inside of his own home, with an improvised explosive device. Not his home, but a home that he was staying in. Apologies for the mistake there. But again, we're going to continue on highlighting and showing all these videos that are developing right now, as a lot of people are saying that this is another video highlighting the interceptions that are happening with some of these missiles. And again, if you're in Israel, this is terrifying. But we got to understand, this soon is probably going to be happening to the people of Iran. I am. This is, it looks like we also have some other breaking news coming in right now, as Iran officially released a statement saying that they are now warning Israel of a, quote, crushing response if, quote, the Zionist regime dares to respond to the Iranian ballistic missile attack. Official statements by the Iranian government, as an IDF spokesperson just said that, quote, there are no additional threats identified from Iran at this time. Quote, people can leave their bomb shelters. So that's the official statement that we just got from the IDF, and the official statement that we just got from the Iranian government. Yeah, this is scary, kind of apocalyptic kind of videos here, as it's fair to say here that the Israelis probably aren't going to listen to the Iranians here when they say, hey, you better not respond to us. They will. And their response is probably going to be very severe. It's probably going to be very big. And it's probably going to be something that they are going to do in order to, of course, not just complete regime change inside of Iran, but to, of course, eviscerate their government and military, so this probably doesn't happen again. Again, look at these videos. These videos will be with us for a very long time. These videos are going to be played, as, of course, it almost seems like almost every October now, things pop off inside of the Middle East. Last year, October 7th, things popped off. And then ever since, Hezbollah has been sending rockets into Israel. And we, of course, had the larger Israeli invasion of Palestine, which the Iranians have always come out and said, hey, stop doing this, or we're going to keep financing your proxies, and we're going to, of course, see you as a larger threat here. As the Iranians previously also made a statement to the Israelis saying, we won't retaliate. You guys took out our embassy. You guys took out a lot of diplomatic leadership within our own country. We won't respond, specifically if you just stop the invasion and stop the kind of larger attacks that are happening on Palestine. Israel, of course, refused. And again, official breaking news right now is that an IDF spokesperson is saying that these missile attacks are over. Are they? We don't know, as there's other reports of other attacks also happening domestically amongst local populations against civilians as well. Now, another video that came out from the south and central of Israel is this one as well, reportedly, allegedly. Again, you got to be careful during these breaking news events. Usually a lot of people troll people. Usually a lot of people spread fake news. Usually a lot of people try to take control of the narrative in order to push certain larger agendas out here. And if you want to know my agenda is to stop having war. Stop these conflicts, stop these larger kind of escalations, and I will call it like I see it. That's what you could expect here on this independent media broadcast. And share this broadcast. We're going to be live as these developments unfold, because I still have about 20 articles I need to get through. 20 articles about this situation, giving people insight, giving people perspective about what is really happening here, as, of course, this is a day that is a very good day for individuals like Lindsey Graham that are probably gooning over this tremendously right now. I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I'm looking around. I'm like, how are my supplies? How am I doing? Okay. Expect the price of energy to go up. That's the minuscule level. Expect Israel to respond now. What will their response be? As, of course, they're essentially fighting a two-front war, and they have multiple proxies financed by Iran that really don't like them. You add the larger factor of what's happening inside of Syria as well, and the larger destabilized efforts that have gone on there, and you have a recipe for disaster, as it definitely does look like... as we just had a super chat related to this particular topic of where I was just thinking. And we have a super chat here from Cody Justin Fannin saying, Samson option soon. That's exactly what I was thinking. Why was I thinking that? Because particularly all of the larger threats by multiple countries against Israel, that is predominantly a country that is very small compared to, of course, all the other countries that have a lot more people inside of them. So if you don't know what the Samson option is, it's an Israeli defense strategy of, quote, mass retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against a country whose military has invaded and or destroyed much of Israel. Now, it looks like after these 200 ballistic missiles that were just shot at Israel, from everything that I'm seeing, it doesn't look like much of Israel has been destroyed. It looks like a lot of missiles were just kind of shot blindly into Israel right now. What will be the consequences? Who was affected by this? These don't look like strategic military strikes. It looks like the Iron Dome handled a lot of them. But is the Samson option here something that's on the table? Absolutely. Is it something that's a bigger possibility now than before? Yes. But how much? Not that much. As, of course, the Samson option is the last resort. It's the option that, of course, is a larger threat with conventional weapons retaliations that a lot of people reference to, of course, biblical terms with Judge Samson, who, of course, is in a lot of religious kind of edicts and books. Now, when we see these situations and when we see them kind of unfold right in front of our eyes, it's kind of hard to believe that a lot of this is kind of happening now for the people who haven't been paying attention to what's been developing, as there's been a lot of kind of tit-for-tat moments that have led up to this that we've been reporting on, that we've been talking about, that we have been documenting for a very long time here, as there's been a larger concerted effort by the military-industrial complex in the Western world to have a war with Iran. This will probably be their justification for it. This will probably be the larger trap that they kind of set up here, that now they finally have the excuse of saying, now we're going to go this. And this is a sinister trap here, because if you look at the history of this, there's a lot that goes into this, all the way back in the early 2000s. As, of course, if you remember, the United States-Iraq war that unfolded predominantly helped out Iran, since Iraq was a major kind of deterrent against Iran. There was a war between Iraq and Iran that the United States and other Western powers were financing from both sides, so the two would obliterate and, of course, take each other out. Now, the United States came in and took out Iraq, which allowed Iran to have a larger sphere of influence in the region, as the United States artificially created a vacuum of power that the Iranians just kind of naturally took place. Now, the Iranians now have a bigger sphere of influence, more power in the region. And then after Iraq, there was a larger push, there was a larger concerted effort by the Pentagon, by neoconservatives, by a lot of right-wing, chicken, war hawk, crazy, sociopathic individuals saying, Iran next. And we're just going to change that Q to the N. And everyone was like, that's absolutely stupid. That's absolutely insane. That's absolutely crazy. What are you doing? Like, no. Like where are the WMDs? You frickin' neoconservative crackhead. I'm trying to be a family-friendly show here. So again, share this broadcast. I'm gonna be live for the next few hours, by the way. This is major news. This is nothing to play around with. This is huge news. This is groundbreaking October surprise geopolitical shifting world news. I'm gonna be going live for the next few hours, by the way. So share this broadcast with your friends and family members, because I need to go off on this. Because there's so much history that a lot of people just conveniently forget. Yeah, oh, that larger vacuum of power that was created by the Republicans when they had the seat of power within Washington, D.C., amongst pretty much all branches of government, was creating mass devastation in Iraq, mass death, mass suffering that your tax dollars paid for. And then, of course, you saw Iran become more powerful. And then, of course, you saw the Sunni radical Islamist groups that were joined up by the larger other religious groups that were kicked out of the Iraqi military and government. The Ba'athists that, of course, joined up with them. And then, of course, you just set a perfect recipe for disaster for that particular region that has led up to this particular moment. Now, some people say, no, it's not. It is interconnected. It is. And it's a very deceivious plot to, of course, essentially, just like a kind of John Wayne kind of movie scenario, to go up to your enemy and, put down a firearm and tell your enemy, pick up the firearm. Pick it up. Pick it up. Why won't you pick it up? Pick up the gun. Pick it up. As soon as they do, boom, blast them. That's the scenario here that I think has unfolded to these latest escalations. As I have said, ever since the first attempted taking of Donald Trump's life, there was always a nudge. There was always a push by some sinister aspects and elements of the intelligentsia, of the corporate media, that were trying to say, Iran did it. It's the Iranians. And my analysis from this, it adds up now, especially what we're seeing right now with how Iran just retaliated. Everything that I'm seeing here all points to this picture. Because and I've been saying this from day one, you could go back to all the videos. Go back through all the videos today. Day one, if the attempt on Donald Trump's life was successful, war automatically with Iran. It would have been blamed directly on Iran. And there would have been other kind of conflicts domestically here inside of the United States. As we got other breaking news right now coming in, as of course, we have a great producer named Josh Friedman who's helping me out, sending me a lot of the breaking news as it's developing behind the scenes here. Shouts out to Josh. He's a great guy who's helping me out here. So we're going to be covering the breaking news as well as giving you the kind of bigger analysis here, which I think is more important and more imperative than ever. As the latest news is that President Joe Biden and, of course, Kamala Harris, this is going to be Kamala Harris's moment. Watch. The regime is going to take this moment, is going to take this opportunity, and they're literally going to be running with it, saying, Biden's going to step down maybe. We're going to push Biden to the side here. It's Kamala that's calling the shots here. Kamala's going to come in. Kamala's the one right now inside of the White House Situation Room, as they are now ordering the U.S. military across the Middle East to aid in the defense of Israel. Now, when the American government says defense, the Department of Defense really isn't defense. What are going to be the next moves and measures being made here? You bet your bottom dollar right now in that Situation Room, Kamala Harris is uncomfortably cackling. You bet your bottom dollar. She's cackling all the way, nervous, laughing, as American leadership really isn't kind of exemplified with the Biden administration. Glenn Greenwald had an interesting kind of perspective on this. He said, the situation in the Middle East is as dangerous as it's been in a long time, and the U.S. president has no functional brain. And the vice president is focused solely on ascending to power. We are thus again faced with question, who is making the decisions for the U.S. government? Trust me, it is not cackling Kamala. It is not diaper pooping Biden. It is not the people that you think are calling the shots here, as of course, they're probably drugging both of them up right now, right? They probably have IVs. Biden probably still is half asleep. Biden's at the Fisher-Price desk. Kamala Harris is drugged up and loony on her anti-anxiety medications and probably other drugs, narcotics, and alcohol and booze. According to my own personal opinion, she's drugged up. Absolutely. She's the perfect puppet. Why do I say she's the perfect puppet? Because she literally says everything they tell her to say. She reads the script. There's no moments. There's no moments of genuineness. There's no moments of her being real or honest. There's her faking accents. There's her faking PR stunts. There's her with headphones that are not even plugged in, writing on a blank piece of paper, allegedly responding. She's not in charge. She's the puppet candidate. Who's in charge? Well, probably someone that knew that this was coming. This is why they probably didn't choose the governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro, to be the next VP for, of course, Kamala Harris. By the way, we're doing a live stream. I forgot to even mention this. I forgot to even send this out to the general public, as we are going to be going live with Alex Jones and Roger Stone in a few hours from now, watching the vice presidential debates, if they're not canceled. I don't think they are. I think the missile attacks, according to the IDF spokesperson, have stopped. I think we're going to see a retaliation. Absolutely. People are saying World War III. I think limited proxy war, bigger war with Iran. Now, Iran also close ties to Iran, close ties to Iran, close ties to Russia and to China as well. I gotta pimp this out. I can't believe I didn't share this yet. But yeah, we're gonna be live, even if there's no vice presidential debate. Even if there's I think there will be. We still are going to be going live with Alex Jones and the great Roger Stone, who's going to be here inside the studio with us at 8 p.m. Eastern. So in about 6 hours from now, I'm not leaving. I still got 30 articles I need to share, you guys, that are just too vast to mention here. Let me just send off this tweet, as I want to. Hold on 1 second. All right. Let me get that out there to the general public, as of course I need to promo a lot of these things. So this is how the everything's kind of made here. That's the live stream. That's going to be live on thebestpoliticalshow.com, pretty much the channel that you're watching right now. We're going to be returning, of course, live here after discussing what is developing right now. Again, major news, big news. October surprise is here, and it's going to lead to other escalations, other things to look at, as, of course, this is also going to be the opportune time for the Ukrainians, while everyone's paying attention to what's happening in the Middle East, to launch those long-range advanced missiles with the help of the United States and NATO. This is the perfect time. The world is being set as a stage for this global conflict that, of course, is unfolding, is underway. That could potentially lead to World War III, where a lot of the BRICS nations are kind of coalescing, coming together against, of course, Western countries and Western allies, specifically the United States and NATO. Again, a major event unfolded right now. What are the casualties? What are the reports? What are the numbers that, of course, we're going to be getting? We don't know. We still do not have them as well. As Michael Tracy took to social media, saying this seems like a scenario where it could be somewhat ominous to have a U.S. president in power who was just ejected by his own party due to cognitive deterioration. Yeah. And let's be honest here. Let's talk about this from a real honest perspective. This probably wouldn't have happened if there was some kind of strong, competent leadership. I think the Ukrainians, the Israeli government, and other, quote, allies of the United States government are looking at failed leadership, are looking at the potential shifting of the tide within Washington, D.C., and saying, we better act now because we probably won't be able to act under a potential Donald Trump presidency. We better get as much as we can. We better get away with as much as we can right now. And it's not just the Ukrainians and the Israelis thinking about this. It's also the Iranians. The Iranians are probably like, Biden's taking a nap. Launch. Boom. What is he going to do? He's taking a nap. He's not going to do anything. As the Democratic political party is, of course, the more favorite party for the Iranians to win, as geopolitically they are more centered against Russia than against the Middle East. Now, the Republicans, mainly, not all of them, but the Republicans mainly are more focused against Iran and less against Russia. So we're seeing this kind of juxtaposition of these two larger political parties and their larger kind of enemies out there that they kind of ritualistically always go after when they have their seat in power. So I think Iran is saying, you know what, we better look strong to our citizenry, because if the Iranians don't look strong to their citizenry is going to overthrow them. There's a long history of governments being overthrown in Iran. Some of them, aided and abetted by the CIA. That really worked out really well. As of right now, officially there are no reports of casualties from these missile attacks, according to the latest reports. Will there be any casualties? I don't know. There might not be, because a lot of these missiles probably were shot down. A lot of them don't look like they were kind of strategic. They don't look like they were hitting specific targets. They look like they were just kind of flying all over the place. As now, the hurricane and flood victims are probably underwater now, as clearly the Biden-Harris administration is going to be focused on this issue. And this issue, not convenient for them, as their base, especially their younger base, does represent a faction that is more anti-Israel. That's a large faction. And this issue is the wedge that is, of course, dividing up the Democratic political party. Now, you look at things like Jill Stein that are coming on and saying, yeah, Kamala Harris is going to lose the Muslim vote because of her stance on this particular issue. And I think she makes a very compelling argument for that. As right now, we have local politicians literally doing food drives to help out our local citizens, as our government is going to be involved in this particular conflict, and probably just like we see in Ukraine, not only just giving direct aid and assistance, but also supervision. Also, latest tech and satellite imagery that probably is going to be shared by the United States military-industrial complex in order to help Israel retaliate and respond against Iran. Now, this is the next big thing to look out for. As, again, the IDF says the missile attacks are done. Israel was just attacked. How will they respond here? That's going to be the big issue. The big thing that, of course, is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be, of course, closely looking at. By the way, if my producer is watching, send this chat into the LukeUnfiltered.com Telegram group and ask people if they want to call in. Again, I still got 30 articles to share. I still got a crap ton of news to share, talking about the history, where this is going, and everything else. So stay tuned. Share this broadcast with your friends and family members. But it would be cool to also get some kind of callers who are going to be calling in by becoming members of LukeUnfiltered.com. Again, we're going to put this link down in the chat room as well. Sign up, become a member to LukeUnfiltered.com, because one of the things that you have there, you're going to want to have, especially now. One of the things that I learned after 2021 is that the world is unpredictable, that you need to, of course, be prepared for anything, and that's why I started my own survival school, where I teach people how to, of course, land navigate, create their own fires, hunt small game, filter their own water, and forget about getting Berkey systems. You can literally get supplies at Home Depot and make your own filtration water system on the cheap, save a bunch of money, and also learn how to have a really cool apocalypse survival training skill just by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com, as you get 3 master classes a part of signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. You also get a forum, you get a members-only t-shirt store that saves you a bunch of money, and you get the ability to call into these live broadcasts and actually be a part of them, as we will be taking callers, and callers will be able to say and ask whatever they want. As now, there's also other breaking news coming in right now. Revised reports highlighting how there's a total number of around 180 missiles now that have been allegedly fired by the Iranians against Israel. Now, how many missiles have been fired by Hezbollah? How many missiles are soon going to be fired by the Houthis? What are the Palestinians going to do here? Is this going to be an all-in-one moment that we've been warning about for months and months out now? I don't know. I think the bigger thing that's going to happen, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's like a 25% chance that possibly will be happening. People in the comment section are saying, Luke just got his draft card. Trace Adams, I did not get my draft card. And I wouldn't want to participate in any kind of maiming or taking of human life ever. I don't want that on my soul. I don't want that on my conscience. And we joke about this, but people don't understand just how close we are to that, especially with the latest technological advancement of weaponry that can maim and take human life in record numbers very quickly. And now I bet we will be seeing the latest and greatest technology utilized by the United States government and the Israeli government responding to Iran. What will they respond? I'll get into that in a little bit. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. The link is in the chat room. It's in the description. Truly, I've been under attack. Last week, I got a devastating development of just extreme craziness. I can't even talk about it. I'm talking to lawyers and accountants right now, but major attack against me, this independent media operation that might have this studio seized. Again, I'm dealing with a lot of pressure. You guys signing up, more important than ever. It's less than 20 cents a day to sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. And truly, as an independent media organization that's been around for 20 years, if you appreciate all the work that we do, if you appreciate me going to Epstein's Island, me going to places like Somalia and doing on-the-ground reports, me confronting David Rockefeller, Lord Jacob Rothschild, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Henry Kissinger, Tony Blair, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, you appreciate me confronting all of these people. Help us out here, because the more that you help us, the more that we expand these operations. As of course, we should be having more graphics. We don't have a graphics person. I'm the graphics person. I'm literally going in between clips that I'm just highlighting and showing you guys and reading comments. There's no live producer. Look, there's no one in this room. This is me. I should have a producer. I don't have a producer because not enough people are signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. So we need your help and your assistance more than ever. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. It truly is extremely important to us. And if you haven't done it yet, what are you doing? Again, we give you guys, we just had a meetup here. Incredible meetup just for members. We do nature hikes. And I think I'm going to pledge one act of service to you, whether it's a beach cleanup or a river cleanup or a nature hike or a health conscious kind of larger gathering or event. Once a month, I promise to dedicate that just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. And your memberships help facilitate us trying to be the change that we want to see in this world by actively bringing people together, working together on becoming the best, most strongest versions of ourselves. It's important for individuals to realize the true potential and power that they have, especially with all the information available right in front of our very eyes. And what I focus on for members of LukeUnfiltered.com, there's going to be 3 videos released just for members this week alone. What I focus on is not just mental health, but physical health as well as a lot of other information that you could use to game the system and use it for your own personal benefit to become the strongest, best version of yourself. Again, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. More important than ever, as articles that we had just this morning talked about the threat of an all-out Middle East war that is looming. It's no longer looming, folks. It's here with, of course, videos like this that now are captivating all of social media, as this is the next big thing that has impacted us and will be impacting us for a very long time out from now, as this is not a very safe situation. And it's a very terrifying situation that's unfolding right now with a lot of unpredictabilities. Now, with 20 years of following this particular region, studying, researching it, and talking to experts in this particular field, this is why we were able to tell you, hey, guys, this is going to happen. We said, hey, Israel's going to invade the south of Lebanon. We told you that before they invaded. We told you the establishment, ever since the first attempted taking of Donald Trump's life, was trying to finagle a way to pin this all on Iran. We saw the predictive programming. We saw the propaganda. We saw behind enemy lines. We saw exactly what they were preconditioning the American public for. And boom, here we are. Not a good scenario. Not a good situation for everyone. A terrifying situation, as just before this development, we got news that the United States was urging Americans in Israel to head to bomb shelters immediately, as they said that the ballistic missile attacks were coming from Iran. Could there have been a larger kind of negotiation from the Iranians like last time? If you remember last time, the Iranians went to the U.S. government and said, hey, we're just going to pop up a bunch of drones. We're going to tell everyone it's going for Israel. It's really not. You guys are just going to shoot them down, okay? All right, good deal. And then the information was leaked. Hey, there was a backdoor deal made. There was a whack the dog kind of situation made. Is that what happened here? Potentially. Or it could have been advanced U.S. military tech that was able to report and find out that there was missiles shot, and therefore they were able to send out this urgent warning that I was following and reading in this particular morning. Again, this is the article that I had pulled up here. Why hasn't Iran retaliated against Israel? That was an article by the Middle East Eye. Well, they just did. In a major way that now, again, it's a tit-for-tat kind of pendulum swing, retaliation thing that we're going to be seeing unfolding here. Israel is going to overwhelmingly respond now, just like they usually do. That's their doctrine. That's their foreign policy. That's how they respond, specifically because they are outnumbered and outmanned and a very small country surrounded by a lot of people who, of course, aren't really happy with them, don't really like them. But this was the conversation, an opinion piece by the Middle East Eye, talking about how Tehran's approach involves, quote, slow motions, asymmetrical warfare on several fronts, and it, quote, watches the regime of Tel Aviv destroy itself. Now, I don't know if the regime in Tel Aviv is destroying itself. I think there is something to say about the private minister there having a lot of political scandals. I think there's something to say about a lot of people protesting him, a lot of people wanting him out of political office. And the fact that the longer that these conflicts go on, the more of an assured place he has in power. Because a lot of political experts, a lot of people that are protesting Benjamin Netanyahu, a lot of people in Israel that are not happy with Benjamin Netanyahu, say that as soon as the conflict in Palestine is over, as soon as the fighting's over, he's ousted. He's out of his position of power. Now, if you're Benjamin Netanyahu, you're like, okay, whoa. These Hezbollah guys keep bombing us. They keep sending ballistic. We got to deal with that. We got to expand and prolong this war, which also conveniently. Now I'm not saying there could be. I'm not saying there's a direct correlation here. I'm saying there could be a correlation here, as he could be saying, well, it's very convenient. We got more conflict. Wow. We got more of that. Oh, who would have thought? And I don't think that's a coincidence personally myself, even though I don't have any kind of empirical evidence and proof for that specifically myself. But again, what is the Israeli government going to do here? Well, they're going to retaliate. And it definitely does look like there's multiple prong attacks happening here, as there's also reports of shootings and stabbings also happening in parts of Israel as well, as it definitely does look like this is not just the end of this. This is the beginning of this, as there are multiple reports in multiple cities in Israel about terror attacks that happened to the local population there, along with the missile strikes, along with Iran shooting missiles and Hezbollah shooting missiles as well. So this is another article here by CBS News detailing why Israel says it must attack Hezbollah on the ground in Lebanon, as U.S. officials say Iran could strike Israel. Well, these U.S. officials were right. The intel they had and what they were forewarning about was true. Now, will the United States actively start a war with Iran here? It's the Democratic Party. This is a very inconvenient issue for them. If it was Republicans that were in charge, if it was George W. Bush, automatically, boom, we would have been. If Dick Cheney was calling the shots like he usually was, boom, that would have exactly happened here. We have David Barmacastle Jr., who signed up as a member on YouTube. Again, YouTube kind of set that up as like a thing that without my consent. I don't want that. If you want to sign up and be a member again on lukeunfiltered.com. We're going to post the link once again into the chat room on all the live streams that we are on right now to specifically make sure that people sign up for that, because that's where we are building the community. That is where specifically we are doing and organizing the meetups and having videos. We have 3 videos this week just for members alone. The general public doesn't get to see it. Only you guys will, of course, get to see it by becoming members of LukeUnfiltered.com, where I kind of talked about the larger issues that I'm dealing with and the larger storm clouds gathering. If you've been watching my members videos, by the way, you saw this coming. As I foretold it, I warned it. I said, hey, there's going to be a war in the Middle East. Get ready. And the last few videos that I did, 2 of the most important ones for members exclusively, and this is what I do just for members, was how am I preparing for World War III? And another video, and again, I did this kind of facetiously, but I did this kind of in a real way as well. I specifically didn't just do that. I also did a video about how you should prepare. And in multiple ways, because there's multiple of these kind of videos out there just for members. But specifically, I did physically how you should prepare, mentally how you should prepare, financially how you should prepare, how you should prep, and how I'm prepping personally myself. As, of course, these are important videos that I save just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We got another super chat here from J.K. Jerome saying, sorry to hear the globalist SA wolves are at the door. More power to you, Luke. Hold the line. We're trying. There's a major attack against this independent media organization that has devastated us last week. I'm talking to lawyers. I'm talking to accountants. And it's something that's not easy at all. By the way, I forgot. I gotta let the people over at Rumble know that I'm live now, reporting the latest details here. As of course, this is big. This is absolutely major. This is going to spark an all-out kind of war here. That we're going to have a retaliation by Israel, and then Israel will, of course, overwhelmingly respond to Iran, because that's what Israel does. Israel said that it needs to attack Hezbollah because Hezbollah was sending rockets their way from the south of Lebanon. And now they're doing a ground invasion of the south of Lebanon. What will they do? Because Iran just sent those missiles specifically on their territory against their citizens. That's something right there to think about. I kind of want to ask, if my producer's watching, we could also start a YouTube kind of poll asking people specifically if the Samson option will be used. So if my producer, I could just probably do this. I'm going to do this right now, and I'm going to ask you guys, because this is a legitimate conversation. Personally, I'll give you my answer, but I want to ask the YouTube chat, will the Samson option be used? And after the poll, I'm going to give you my answer on that specific kind of response here. Now, I specifically want to talk about how will Israel respond here. Well, I think they're going to be going after a lot of the military and political targets inside of Iran. Iran was kind of prepping and preparing for this, as they literally took their Ayatollah and political leadership into hiding recently. So they were ready for this. They knew that this was particularly coming. And now the escalations will, of course, grow further from here. As the CBS News article reads, almost a year after Israel launched the war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip in retaliation for the Iranian-backed group attack October 7th terrorist rampage. Again, what? CBS News, what? You're going to blame what happened on October 7th on Iran here? I haven't seen empirical evidence proving that. But if you're a neoconservative warmonger, that's exactly what you're going to be saying here. We got another super chat here from King of Biltong. Great company, landofbiltong.com, promo code WRC, saying, this is a reminder that no matter how much you hate government, it's not enough, as it definitely does look like governments are bringing us to perpetual war. But let's unfold this propaganda here from CBS News, as automatically they're saying Iran was responsible for October 7th last year. I haven't seen evidence. Now, Iran does back the terrorist proxies, and they are helping the terrorist proxies out there, but it definitely doesn't look like this was some kind of a coordinated attack. If it looks like anything, it looks like it was an attack that was kind of allowed to happen in order for, of course, political reasons by the current government in Israel. That's what I personally believe, according to my own personal kind of assessment here. But again, the propaganda already is laid on thick here. As, of course, the article goes on, it announced the beginning of what Israel Defense Forces said would be limited, localized, and targeted ground raids against Iran's much larger, better armed proxy groups Hezbollah in Lebanon. A White House official said, meanwhile, there was indications that Iran was preparing to launch a missile. Yeah, they did. Amongst these escalations, and, of course, Israel and the United States were warning about retaliations. Now we wait and see how they will kind of retaliate from here. The Israeli ground operations were announced after about 2 weeks of blistering airstrikes on Hezbollah strongholds in southern Lebanon and the southern suburbs of Lebanon's capital, Beirut, which has killed more than 1,000 people and displaced about 1 million people from their homes, according to Lebanese officials. Yes, those airstrikes were severe. They looked very brutal, and a lot of people have argued that they were strategic. A lot of people are arguing that there's a lot more kind of civilian casualties here. And for me, the larger kind of assessment here is that war is brutal, and I pray for all of those involved and their souls, as what's happening here is just absolutely evil and demonic, in my own personal opinion. There's no winners of war, by the way. Let me get a sip of my coffee here, as we're going to be here for a while, as this is just the beginning of what looks like a bigger war that has unfolded here inside of the Middle East right now. As just a couple hours ago, Israel started their ground invasion of Lebanon. And I think this is why we are seeing Iran launch ballistic missiles, hoping that the Israelis are kind of spread too far apart. We got another super chat here from Ada19 saying, thanks, Luke. Well, thank you, Ada19. Again, we prefer you guys use mysuperchat.com, the Streamlabs link in the description, because your super chat actually gets to show up on screen, and then we also get 97% of that super chat. If you guys are using the YouTube super chat, let's point the link. My producer, if you're watching, point the Streamlabs link in the comment sections of all the live streams that we're at right now, because using that is a lot more beneficial than YouTube kind of coming in and taking 30%. As just a couple hours ago, Israel sent ground troops into the south of Lebanon. Now, they did this previously beforehand in 2006. Their operations weren't as fruitful, as they lost a significant portion of their manpower. Again, Israel doesn't have a lot of manpower. This is the important kind of thing to realize here, as they are significantly outnumbered. And they do have the technological advancement. They do have satellite technology. They do have the United States at their beck and call. And they do have advanced military munitions that they are utilizing, as well as sabotage pager attacks that they also use against their particular enemies. As Israel, just a couple hours ago, ordered tens of thousands of Lebanese to flee their homes and head 60 kilometers north of that particular region, as this was the region where Hezbollah was sending a lot of the rockets from their region into Israel from. As the war on Lebanon, the war really on Hezbollah, has started, and there's already accusations against the Israeli government that haven't been, again, independently corroborated yet, of use of white phosphorus. Now, was it used here? I don't know. It's being used right now in Ukraine by the Ukrainians with drones, as there's white phosphorus kind of grenades that are literally being flown on grenades, firing through dugouts and trenches that the Russians are in. Now, a lot of people are saying, whoa, I can't believe they used this weapon of war that you're not supposed to use. It's war. All hands are off. Like, all bets are off. Anything can happen. There's really no rules in war. And throughout war's progression, we see kind of little deals made, and those deals slowly and surely kind of being broken. in the beginning of the kind of larger World War, there was larger deals specifically that detailed that, civilian casualties, civilian cities shouldn't be bombed. And then after incident after incident, after what allegedly was accidents after accidents, all bets were off. And then they said, yeah, we're just going to bomb London. Yeah, we're just going to bomb Dresden, a civilian territory. And we're just going to obliterate the local population there until there's going to be mass human casualties. And that's what the West did. That's what the good guys did. And again, there's no good guys here. There's no winners. The winners that do win write the history, but they lost and they paid a price, not just with their lives, but their souls as well, as war is a larger demonic presence and energy that a lot of people kind of prey off of and try to, of course, use for their larger kind of sinister, interdimensional, demonic, evil purposes. Shouts out to Rumble. They just put us up on the front page. We're probably going to be doing a positive ad for them as, of course, they've launched their own products that they are promoting. My producer, if you could send me the latest positive ad, that would be great because they just launched dog treats on positive.com/Luke. We'll talk about them in just a little bit as, of course, Rumble is a great company, and they definitely do help us out. Where's the little package there? I'm going to try to find a video as I try to find more of the elements in my studio to, of course, highlight on today's broadcast. As we're also finding out that Israel not just started a ground invasion of the south of Lebanon, but also committed airstrikes in Gaza, as there are reports of 37 individuals losing their lives in the latest airstrike that also just happened a couple hours ago. There's also significant airstrikes happening specifically against the Houthi rebels, and that is something also that a lot of people are paying close attention to since, again, what's on the table now? How will Israel respond? Well, regime change is on the table, according even to the Prime Minister of Israel, who announced that the Iranian regime change will happen, quote, sooner than people think. Now, with the Israeli government announcing this a couple hours before their kind of ballistic airstrikes that were sent by Iran, that was probably one of the kind of motivating factors for Iran, saying, they're taking out political leadership. They're threatening the lives of politicians. They've taken out politicians before. They could probably take us out soon. They're talking about taking us out. They're talking about regime change. Hell, all bets are off. Let's go. Let's push the envelope further towards this escalatory kind of response here. Now, this is big because the Israelis saying specifically that, we're going to implement regime change in Iran, which is going to have devastating effects here. If there is regime change in Iran, you could expect the same thing like we saw in Iraq. Massive destabilization, massive vacuums of power, massive factions of religious Islamists that are going to be fighting each other, vying for power. And throughout those larger kind of conflicts will be more turmoil and will be another refugee crisis that, of course, the Europeans will just greatly open their door for, saying, come on in, guys. Come on in. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're fine. We'll take you guys in and replace our local population. We got a Streamlabs, mysuperchat.com, super chat from John Brownie saying, Luke, you are the best. No, John, you are. Thank you so much for your support. It really does mean a lot to us during these very difficult times that we are dealing with here. So again, now that Iran retaliated, regime change is on the table. And there will be massive attacks, not just against the Iranian military, but also specifically the Iranian political leadership that the Israelis have been preparing for. As this is a crazy news story. This is a wild news story from specifically the former president of Iran, Mohammed Ahmadinejad, who came out and said that the Iranian counterintelligence set up a special unit to go after Mossad Israeli infiltration of the Iranian government. And throughout this larger attempt to set up this counterintelligence special unit, they found out that the head of that secret unit was a Mossad agent with 20 other Israeli agents working with him. This is allegedly, according to CNN in Turkey, that reported the Mossad agent infiltration of the Iranian government and the Iranian Secret Service that literally created a special unit to combat Mossad that was operated by Mossad. Now, the Mossad is very infamous with their kind of larger intelligence operations, as they are very infamous. They are very, let's just say, sneaky, to say the least here, as these are the reports that are coming in there highlighting 20 agents that were allegedly found by Iran that were infiltrating the Iranian government, as there are probably a lot of sabotage attacks, a lot of intel reports, as, again, what's happening right now in the Middle East, absolutely awful. And where's the conversation about the weather being gooder? Where's the conversation about, the emissions, the CO2 of these missiles? Where's Greta Thunberg? Oh, yeah, Greta's criticizing Israel right now. Again, larger forms of insanity unfolding in the world right now, and it's kind of sad, and it's tragic, and it's absolutely devastating to the world here. And where this will go from here will specifically be something that we will be keeping a very close eye on. We have another super chat here from Little Drinky Poo saying, how many regime change have we helped facilitate in Iran now? A lot. And we're going to do another one, probably right after this one. Let's be honest here. This is real. This is real big, as now we have more footage showing Iranian missiles that, according to some sources, according to Press TV on social media, which is Iran media state-run television, so, take this with a grain of salt. Hold on, let me talk to my producer. Really quick. This right here is allegedly the missiles hitting an Israeli airbase. Now, is that true? I don't know, but here's the video in full. Now, again, lots of videos circulating all of social media right now. Doesn't mean they're true. As it's important to note here, a lot of people sharing fake videos, lots of people during these very key moments is, of course, taking advantage of the situation in order to spread fake news and fake narratives out there. It does look like there's other reports coming in from CNN that I think will be worth looking at right now, as a lot of people now are sharing this particular clip. As we have this one that just popped up on my news feed with allegedly CNN admitting that Mossad's headquarters is in a densely populated area with, quote, civilians around it. As we have seen this kind of strategy used by Palestinians, used by Hezbollah, that the Israelis previously criticized beforehand. But it's fair to say that probably the Israeli government has implemented similar policies as well. Hold on one second. As, of course, we have another super chat from Pink King 554 saying Biden-Harris needed something to hide their response to the hurricane. Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting theory, but I think this is way bigger than any kind of hurricane here. I don't think they went to the Iranians and were like, yo, Iran, this is the time. This is the time right now to act. I don't think they did that. Here's a clip from CNN.
The U.S. intel view that among the targets were Israeli airfields, but also, and this is crucial, the headquarters of Mossad, the International Intelligence Service of Israel, which is inside Tel Aviv. It's in the northern part of Tel Aviv, but it's in the city. It's in a densely populated area. And of course, the concern is if you're firing, even though Iran might consider that a military target, it is in a densely populated city with civilians around it. And that's just one more layer of escalation. The U.S. intel view.
Yeah, no surprise there. That was kind of known for a while here, as this is major. This is big, as, of course, right now, we are also getting reports and videos from Tehran, inside of Iran, showing that a lot of cars are pulling up at gas stations trying to fuel up, as a lot of people now predict that the Israelis will target Iranian oil infrastructure. Now, Iran is a major oil producer, and this is why, in the beginning of this video, I said, hey, you guys might want to stock up on oil, as the price of it probably will be going up dramatically. Here's the clip. Yeah, now, do you have to do this here inside of the United States? I don't know. If you want to save a few bucks, probably. But that, again, is just up to you on your own kind of personal preference. Again, big, huge news. Now, some people are also reporting that an Israeli airbase is completely destroyed. Again, lots of propaganda out there. We don't know who to believe, as we have more video clips specifically from this larger attack against Israel. Yeah, that is just absolutely wild, absolutely crazy video footage. As now, we also have other breaking news that Iran is claiming that over 20 F-35 fighter jets were destroyed with this latest attack. As, of course, Israel has advanced. They have about 20 fifth-generation F-35 fighter jets that now allegedly have been destroyed, according to, quote, Iranian sources. Now, how will Iranian sources know this? As, of course, I don't think they would here. Again, dramatic moments, crazy moments, as we also have this video coming out showing specifically moments where a lot of people were evacuated from the Western Wall in Jerusalem. Again, crazy video footage happening right now, as it looks like we have another live stream specifically of what is happening in the region right now, as we are going to be keeping a close eye on this particular matter and situation, as the IDF is specifically reporting that all airstrikes have specifically ended and are no longer going on. We got another live video feed from Reuters. This is from Reuters. This is from the AP. So these are live right now, in the moment, videos, live streams happening right now, specifically highlighting the kind of larger conflict happening inside of that chat room, as some people are putting up German flags, some people are putting up Israeli flags, some people are pulling up Palestinian flags, and let's just be honest here. What's going to happen now is going to be further escalations and devastation that is not going to be good. As now, This will further break up the Democratic political party, further divide people within the United States, as now, let's just be honest, Israel will respond overwhelmingly. With their overwhelming response here, they will go after not just the military, but also the energy infrastructure of Iran, as Iran is as powerful as and is as rich as it is, mainly because of its oil production on the world stage. Israel probably will go after that, which will make energy prices go up dramatically. That's probably what is going to be unfolding and happening here, as this is not a good situation. This is not a good situation to be in, and it's a situation that I think we truly don't understand just how severe it is, just how big it is, just how much of an escalation it is. I have to talk to my producer really quick. We're going to take it to ABC News. That looks like they have reporters on the ground there.
Haniya, as well as the assassination of other top leaders, including Hezbollah's Hassan Nasrallah, and essentially trying to make the case that that their response was justified and that this was not meant to be an escalation, but a response that they said would be coming, and one that Iran said came after a lot of self-restraint. That was what they used, words they used in the statement that they released tonight. But as you've been talking about with all of our guests and my colleagues, that the question now is what happens and what impact will it have on the millions of innocent people caught in the middle of this. As you know, we're here in Beirut, where we have watched for several days Israel carry out its bombardment, including targeted strikes even today, several of them earlier this evening in the Dahia district of southern Beirut, where they have targeted other key members, they say, of Hezbollah. But we've also seen them carry out strikes outside of that area. And it all speaks to really the volatile nature of this situation and how this is still far from over and no one knows what's going to happen next. And in the midst of that, Kira, you have tens of thousands of people who have been displaced from their homes, many of them who have watched this event unfold tonight, unsure of what they will be doing with their lives in the hours and days ahead. Kira.
Yeah, Israel has the upper hand and is in full control at this moment, but all the innocent bystanders, whether it's in Beirut...
No, why would you say that? What do you mean? They have the upper hand. They're fully in control here. I mean, they just got attacked. Again, I hate this biased... People are asking in the chat room if that was P. Diddy. No, they didn't send P. Diddy there. We got other breaking news happening right now with Israel announcing that the IDF will be carrying out a, quote, powerful airstrike throughout the Middle East tonight. Again, this is bad, folks. The October surprise is here. War is here. Conflict is here. Prepare.
Like it was gonna
Prepare accordingly, because this is going to be bad. We got another super chat here from Self-Made Woman that is saying, seems Bibi is Palatine. Also, tangentially related, chat mentioned Yuval Harari today, and I will want a Neuralink. Be careful. I would not want a Neuralink, personally, myself. We have another super chat here from Freeman Free, saying, you can't end the MIC without expulsion. Israel as well. Numerous high crime / treason is linked to the MIC through Israel. It's one of its pillars. Again, another super chat from Freeman D. Free, saying the nation state of Israel is not biblical. Christians all over embracing this as prophecy, except that warmongers will never see heaven. As again, blessed are the peacemakers. And I think we need more peacemakers now, more than ever, personally, myself. And again, Israel just announced specifically major airstrikes coming, powerful airstrikes coming throughout the entire Middle East. Now, who will they target? Well, probably there's satellites looking at where a lot of these missiles were launched. Those missile areas probably will be targeted by the IDF first. Secondary or third options will, of course, be the energy infrastructure, as, of course, most battles are fought because of energy, because of trade. You get rid of Iran's ability to produce energy on the world stage, boom. You, of course, are able to kind of cripple their empire. And I think that's going to be the end game here. And that always kind of has been the end game ever since the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2004, 2003, which, of course, sparked off this bigger conflict inside of the Middle East right now that is absolutely dangerous, reckless, and stupid. This is stupid. This is dumb. All right? Why are we doing this? Why are my tax dollars going to this? Why are we escalating this? This is the time. Hey, peace. Hey, détente. Hey, negotiations. Hey, other people are saying, no, this is the time for war. We were attacked. Now is the time to retaliate. And again, I don't care what side you're on. I don't care who you're cheerleading for. Do you not understand the larger consequences here? Do you not understand how difficult it already is to survive? Do you not understand not just the economic, but the spiritual, energetic consequences of all of this? As there is a dark, demonic force, specifically when it comes to war, specifically when it comes to, of course, taking the life of innocents, that needs to be called out here. And domestically, there's going to be more strife civilly, not just amongst the local population, but, of course, the larger kind of political politicians out there. Let's go back to some of, because we're unfolding some of the propaganda here in real time. We just saw it in that CBS news article. We saw it here with ABC News, and we're going to see a lot of this. We got another super chat here from Justin saying, yes, the modern nation state of Israel has nothing to do with the prophecies of the old and new covenant. And yes, I agree. This is all dumb. Yeah, Justin, I agree. This is dumb. As there are some right-wing Christian zealots out there that are believing, yes, this is great, this is awesome. It's not. Anytime you have such life loss, anytime you have missiles flying in, taking the life of innocents, you have an absolutely horrible situation on the world stage that is not good for free humanity. We got other breaking news coming in right now, highlighting that the Israeli military announced that they will be carrying this airstrike, as it looks like a lot of aircraft activity all throughout the Middle East has just ceased and stopped. So big airstrike coming from Israel. What will they be bombing? What will they be going after? Well, probably the missile sites from the Iranians first. Make sure that they, of course, stop Iran from being able to launch their missiles, as the United States probably is aiding and abetting, providing the missiles, providing the aircraft, and providing the intel and satellite imagery of where those missiles came from. And that's probably going to be the first target by the United States/Israeli government that's now going to be retaliating against Iran, as it looks like a lot of private airplanes are no longer, and public airplanes are no longer flying throughout the entire Middle East here. Let's continue on with some of the propaganda from ABC News.
Said that, quote, Iran... quote, danger to freedom, but no one goes as far as Lindsey Graham does to call for any kind of direct strike on Iran. They say that Israel has the right to retaliate, but they certainly don't go as far as Lindsey Graham does in saying that the U.S. should aid in any kind of direct Israeli retaliation onto Iran. So Lindsey Graham somewhat out on an island at this hour with that statement. But there's another thing to keep in mind here, which is Lindsey Graham, in those tweets that you were just reading off, also said that he talked to former President Trump and gave him that reasoning too.
Jay, we're going to take you right to the White House now, where that briefing's taking place, right behind you.
Just a few questions, because this is an ongoing situation and I need to get back to my desk. Today, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles towards targets in Israel. The United States military coordinated closely with the Israeli Defense Forces to help defend Israel against this attack. U.S. naval destroyers joined Israeli air defense units in firing interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles. President Biden and Vice President Harris monitored the attack and the response from the White House Situation Room, joined in person and remotely by their national security team. We are still working with the IDF and the authorities in Israel to assess the impact of the attack. But at this time, and I stress at this time, we do not know of any deaths in Israel. We are tracking the reported death of a Palestinian civilian in Jericho in the West Bank. We do not know of any damage to aircraft or strategic military assets in Israel. In short, based on what we know at this point, this attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. This was first and foremost the result of the professionalism of the IDF, but in no small part because of the skilled work of the U.S. military and meticulous joint planning in anticipation of the attack. We're also aware of reports of a terrorist attack in Jaffa that took the lives of a number of Israeli civilians and wounded several others today. Our condolences go out to the families of the victims and to the family of the Palestinian civilian in Jericho. Obviously, my update here is based on early reports, and we reserve the right to amend and adjust as necessary as we gather more information. The word fog of war was invented for a situation like this. This is a fluid situation. We will consult with the Israelis on next steps in terms of the response and how to deal with what Iran has just done, and we will continue to monitor for further threats and attacks from Iran and its proxies. We are particularly focused on protecting U.S. service members in the region. And with that, I'll take just a few questions. Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. Is the administration making any preparations to evacuate U.S. citizens from Lebanon or elsewhere in the region?
We have been very clear for some time now that U.S. citizens should avail themselves of commercial means to depart Lebanon, given everything that's going on. We have said that from this podium, from multiple podiums. We continue to say that, but we have not begun triggering a non-combatant emergency evacuation, a NEO, and do not have an intention to do so at this time. If that changes, we'll let you know. But we continue to reinforce the point. American citizens in Lebanon should follow the guidance from the State Department, which is to find civilian commercial means to depart, because in extremis, we may not be able to get them out safely. Yes.
Thanks, Jake. What is the U.S. view on whether Israel should retaliate, and what is your concern about this leading to a wider escalation of war in the region?
We've had some initial discussions with the Israelis in the aftermath of this at the military level and also at the White House to Prime Minister's office level. We'll continue those conversations in the hours ahead. I'm not going to prejudge or get ahead of anything. We want to have some deep consultations with the Israelis, and I'll have more to report to you after we get the opportunity for deeper discussions.
And escalation in the region?
Obviously, this is a significant escalation by Iran, a significant event, and it is equally significant that we were able to step up with Israel and create a situation in which no one was killed in this attack in Israel, so far as we know at this time. We are now going to look at what the appropriate next steps are to secure, first and foremost, American interests, and then to promote stability to the maximum extent possible as we go forward. Yeah.
Back in April, the president's message to Israel was to take the win when the U.S. and Israel were able to intercept the barrage of Iranian missiles. Is he recommending a similarly limited response this time?
I will not, from this podium, share the president's recommendations. He will have the opportunity to share them directly. We're going to have, as I said, ongoing.
Israel doesn't give a damn what Biden thinks. They never listen to him. He says one thing. He says, please don't do this. They do it anyway. His matter, his opinion, doesn't even kind of have any larger effect here. Let's keep playing the response from the White House officially right now.
Consultations with the Israelis this evening. It is too early for me to tell you anything publicly in terms of our assessment or in terms of what our expectations are of the Israelis or the advice that we will give them.
So will he be speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu today?
I don't have anything to announce from this podium, but I can tell you that he is tracking this minute by minute. We are very much deeply in touch with the Israelis, and insofar as we have calls to read out, we'll make sure to read them out with you. Just last question, then I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Jake. In April, after Iran struck Israel, the U.S. issued a number of sanctions as a consequence. This morning, the president said there would be severe consequences if Iran carried out this attack. What are those consequences, and are they more severe than sanctions?
Totally legitimate question, and that answer will come based on the conversations and consultations we have with our Israeli counterparts. It's too soon for me to stand before you today and give you an answer. What I can tell you is this. We are proud of the actions that we've taken alongside Israel to protect and defend Israel. We have made clear that there will be consequences, severe consequences for this attack, and we will work with Israel to make that the case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Thank
Thank you, Jake.
Here comes this mop head.
On to the rest of the programming here. This morning, President Biden was briefed by his Homeland Security Advisor, Liz Sherman.
She literally looks like a clown. Hey, let's bring in Bubba the Clown now. Come on, let's go. You're only here because of the way you look, ma'am. Let's go.
Randall, on the latest impacts of Hurricane Helene, and this afternoon he will receive an interagency briefing on the Hurricane Helene response and recovery efforts. At the president's direction, the Biden-Harris administration continues to use every tool available to get assistance and resources to the communities that need them the most. Yesterday, the president approved a major disaster declaration for Georgia, which will unlock additional assistance to help those recovering. This is in addition to the major disaster declaration swiftly approved by the president following requests from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida, as well as requests for emergency assistance across 7 states. Tomorrow, the president will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina, where he will visit the State Emergency Operations Center to meet with local officials and also first responders. And the vice president will travel to Augusta, Georgia tomorrow, and will then head to North Carolina in the coming days. As of today, thousands of personnel from across the federal workforce are deployed and supporting state-led Hurricane Helene response efforts across.
We've been following the White House briefing, Karine Jean-Pierre. They're just updating all the resources and support
hurricane that we've ignored or didn't really care about. Come on, seriously. As, of course, we just pulled up some of the tweets here from Lindsey Graham that is gooning right now to just pure joy and ecstasy to this larger kind of demonic evil moment that just unfolded here, saying, quote, "This is a moment of choosing for the free world regarding Iran. The Ayatollah and Iranian regime are religious ends who want to destroy the state of Israel. Their words, not mine. They want to purify Islam and attack the United States. Again, their words, not mine. This missile attack against Israel should be the breaking point, and I would urge the Biden administration to coordinate an overwhelming response with Israel, starting with Iran's ability to refine oil." What a lunatic. This is literally gas prices through the roof, energy prices through the roof, which, again, the Kamala Harris Biden administration doesn't want to do because that also will affect their chances of getting reelected. But that's probably what they're going to do, and they probably will be listening to, of course, Lindsey Graham here. He goes on and says, "These oil refineries need to be hit and hit hard because that is the source of cash for the regime of to perpetuate their terror. My prayers are with the people of Israel, and may God continue to bless Israel." Cat Turd had a good response here saying, "War Pig says what?" Another person says, "Shut up, you lunatic." And yeah, I agree with that. Other people are questioning the fact that he has no children of his own. As, of course, a lot of the people who don't have children don't really care about the future. What a surprise. Other people are, again, questioning his personal choices of who to make love with. Again, this is just absolutely reckless, dangerous, sociopathic-like thinking that is not smart at all. As parody, Vivek Gantapani Ramaswamy says, "Are you willing to send your sons and daughters to fight in this war you're advocating for? If not, then stop talking. The war-mongering criminal." Other people are saying, "You go first, Mr. Graham." Yeah. If Mr. Graham wants to fight this war, Mr. Graham, go over there and fight this war. We have another statement from Lindsey Graham saying, "I just spoke with President Trump earlier today, and he is determined and resolved to protect Israel from the threats of terrorism emanating from Iran. I can assure you, Iran attacks Israel at their own peril. While I appreciate the Biden administration's statement, we cannot forget that when President Trump left office, Iran was weak economically, and he sent the regime the ultimate message with the elimination of Soleimani. The only thing the Iranian regime understands is strength. Now it is time to show unified resolve against Iran, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. We need decisive action, not just statement," as Lindsey Graham is calling for, of course, war. More conflict, more larger escalations that are absolutely reckless, that are absolutely dangerous. As just 4 days ago, I specifically made a video talking about what is happening with Donald Trump and how Donald Trump is falling for a lot of this kind of larger news, trying to get him to go against Iran and blame Iran for the larger attempted takings of his life. Now, let's be honest here. There are individuals within the Iranian government that have threatened Trump, that have put a bounty on him. There are, according to U.S. intel sources, Iranians who have hacked his campaign and have given information over to the Kamala Harris campaign. I'm going to ask my producer, Josh, here, to send me that specific video with me a couple days ago. I think it was like a week ago, specifically saying, hey, Donald Trump here is falling for this larger perpetual agenda to start a war with Iran. That would have happened if the attempted taking of his life was successful. Josh, if you remember that video, this was specifically after Donald Trump released some statements, as we have new statements from Donald Trump now coming out and has officially released a statement with all of this.
Like us, China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent, new intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
That's a message that they just sent out a couple of moments ago, as, of course, they have an official statement that they also just officially released here. That I think it's worth reading here. As Josh, my producer, send me the video, because again, we foretold this, and Donald Trump has been falling for a lot of the kind of Iranian propaganda that laid the groundwork for this a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of months ago. Again, this is the larger, bigger truth that people need to kind of swallow here and understand. One, this specifically was something that was on the books and was supposed to happen, in my opinion, after the first attempted taking of Donald Trump's life. If it was successful, it would have been blamed on the Iranians. There would have been a U.S.-Iran war automatically. Iran took out Donald Trump. Let's go get him. Nikki Haley is in charge now. She's the nominee. She's going to be the next president. She's going to lead us. She's going to lead us in charge, taking out these Iranians that took out Donald Trump. That would have been the headline. That didn't work. Then we saw the corporate media kind of, Iran did it. Iran, look at Iran. Then we saw Donald Trump kind of play up into this. And this is the video that we specifically foretold with a lot of this propaganda that we titled Powder Keg. They're plotting the big one, liquidation ordered. And we specifically told you, yeah, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a conflict. I'm going to play that clip in just a little bit. Because again, we foretold this. We told you. We're not smart. We're not intelligent. It doesn't take a smart person to figure this out. All you have to do is pay attention. All you have to do is read all the information, put the pieces together, and of course make sense of it all. Again, we got some other people. We got Keith, who's a member of LukeUnfiltered.com in the members chat, saying a couple things. Keith, do you want to call in? If you want to call in, Keith, let me know, and we will be going to you in a little bit, as we are also going to open it up to callers and get their response, their reaction. If you want to call in, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? When you sign up, you get access to a Telegram channel. In that Telegram channel, you get to, of course, talk to me during these live broadcasts, and you, of course, get to call in to the live shows. So if someone wants to call in, you could be a caller right now just by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com, and I will see you there right after this broadcast. By the way, if you're a member, download the Apocalypse Survival Training Guide. You could download it with one click of a button and have it in case all of our infrastructure goes down. Also, to incentivize people to call in, we are also going to be giving out free supplements to people who call in. So it's $8 to sign up to be a member, and you could get a $26 free supplement just by simply calling in, as we are giving out our supplements. We have great supplements on wearechange.shop that you could get that support this independent media broadcast. We have fish oils, we have ashwagandha, and we have magnesium glycinate. A lot of people are going to have a hard time sleeping, mainly because of the chaos that's happening in this world. That's why you should, of course, get yourself some magnesium glycinate on wearechange.shop. My producer, if you're watching, send that link over in the chat room so people could, of course, go and support this independent media broadcast. Magnesium glycinate, really great for you, and releases and relieves a lot of anxiety, which a lot of people have now, which you should. As of course, today's October 1st. The October surprise is here. It's real, it's legitimate, and it's only going to get way crazier from here, especially if Donald Trump becomes the next president of the United States. As of course, this is the statement that he just officially released on Truth Social, saying, "The world is on fire and spiraling out of control. We have no leadership, no one running the country. We have a non-existent president in Joe Biden and a completely absent Vice President Kamala Harris, who is too busy fundraising in San Francisco, a city which she and Gavin Newsom totally destroyed, and staging fake photo ops. No one is in charge, and it's not even clear who is more confused, Biden or Kamala. Neither has any idea what is going on. When I was president, Iran was in total check. They were starved for cash, fully contained and desperate to make a deal. Kamala flooded them with American cash. Correction here, it wasn't Kamala that flooded them with cash. It was the Biden-Kamala administration that released some of the sanctions and released their own money that the Iranians had here. It wasn't your tax dollars that went to, of course, Iran. Your tax dollars are going to, of course, terrorist proxies inside of the Middle East that are fighting Iran, and also Israel. But they're not going to Iran. The United States released some of the sanctions and allowed Iran to have some of their own money back that they previously froze beforehand. It was the kind of Obama nuclear Iranian deal that Donald Trump ended when he became president of the United States. Under that nuclear deal, Iran wasn't able to develop nuclear weapons, but they were able to provide oil on the world market, therefore making oil and energy cheaper on the world stage. Now, with the Israelis that are going to be targeting Iranians' energy, oil, price of energy, will go up dramatically. We got another super chat here from Broad D. Satava saying, "Luke, love the shirt, but I have some unfortunate news for you." What's the news? The shirt, by the way, you could get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. If my producer is watching, put that in the description as well. Trust me, I need your support. We are not doing good here. Devastating financial news that I got last week that is crippling, that will probably cost me my entire studio. It's interesting to see what's happening to the ramp up of all of this. We're 34 days away from November 5th. We're having massive war, massive propaganda. The first war that happened is the information war. Look what happened to Tim Pool. Look what happened to Alex Jones. Look what happened to Steve Bannon. Look what's happening to all these other independent media figures that are being absolutely obliterated, taken down, and liquidated. And I hate to report on this, but we were hit hard last week. That might be the end of this independent media organization unless people actually support us and sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Again, you haven't signed up yet. Sign up, truly, 20 cents a day, and you get a lot of offers of value. Plus, you help breed the culture of people doing nature hikes. We're going to be doing beach cleanups. We're going to be doing more meetups, and we're going to be trying to help people as much as we can. Let's continue on with this statement from Donald Trump here that I just had to kind of correct here from everything that I'm seeing. Trump goes on saying, quote, "And ever since, they've been exporting terror all over and unraveling the Middle East." I agree with that statement. Iran has been financing a lot of terrorist proxy groups that predominantly have been going after Israel. Donald Trump goes on saying, under President Trump, as Trump is speaking about himself, quote, "We had no war in the Middle East, no war in Europe, and harmony in Asia, no inflation, no Afghanistan catastrophe. Instead, we had peace. Now, war, or the threat of war." It's fair to say we're at war. Quote, War is raging everywhere, and the two incompetents running this country are leading us to the brink of World War III. You wouldn't trust Joe or Kamala to run a lemonade stand, let alone lead to the free world. That's a great line by Donald Trump. And it's the sentiment that a lot of people are feeling. Even though the corporate media won't report on it, the leadership right now in Washington, D.C. is weak and pathetic and seen on the world stage as not really there. And I think this is why there is such a larger kind of aggressive maneuver that is being made by a lot of these countries internationally and geopolitically. Trump goes on saying, it is no surprise that Iran desperately wants Kamala Harris to be president because they know as long as she is in power, they can take advantage of America. This is why they have tried to target me. We'll see. We'll see what the response is going to be. Again, very inconvenient for the Democrats, very inconvenient for Kamala Harris, whose base is very divided on this very specific issue. Now, how will she respond? Well, I think there might be an opportunity for Joe Biden now to step down, her to step in, and for her to be a wartime president. That's a likely scenario that could unfold here, which you don't fool yourself, could potentially happen here. Quote, Donald Trump says and goes on, if I were in charge, October 7th never happens. Russia, Ukraine never happens. Afghanistan botched withdrawal never happens. And inflation never happens. If I win, we will have peace in the world again. If Kamala gets 4 more years, the world goes up in smoke. Now, are those statements true? Now, Donald Trump's particular record on Israel, mixed. Because on one perspective, he says, I'm going to end all these wars. And in the same tone, he says, but I'm going to let Israel finish what they started. What does finishing mean? What's the objectives here? As there's a lot of blowback happening here, according to CIA assessments here. There's a lot of turmoil happening here. As it looks like we have more statements from the U.S. Pentagon that we're going to go to right now.
And separately, I do have an update to provide on DoD support to Hurricane Helene response efforts, but I'll provide that at the end. With that, I'm happy to take your questions. We'll start with AP. Tara.
Thanks, General Ryder. What Navy destroyers were involved in helping shoot down and intercept? And given this escalation, what's being communicated between Secretary Austin and Minister Gallant right now in terms of tampering things down and potentially avoiding a wider war?
So the 2 Navy destroyers involved were the USS Bulkley and the USS Cole. In terms of the conversations between Secretary Austin and Minister Gallant, I won't get into the private discussions other than to say we are consulting closely with them on next steps and the continued defense of Israel.
And then, are there any plans underway to conduct a NEO given the increased risk of a wider war?
Right now, there has been no order to evacuate. As you've heard us say before, we are a planning organization, so we, of course, plan for all contingencies. But as of right now, State Department has not called for an evacuation. Jennifer.
Should we assume that the SM-3s were used by the Cole and the Bulkley to shoot down or to intercept the missiles?
I'm not going to get into the specific type of ordnance, Jennifer, other than to say, again, they fired a dozen interceptors.
And Iran said that they gave a heads up to the U.S. and to Russia. How much warning were you given by Iran?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any pre-warning by Iran about their potential attack. As you know, this is something we've been following very closely for a while. Based on the threats of retaliation by Iran. And so we've been closely consulting with Israel for a while now to be prepared in the eventuality. And as today demonstrated, we were prepared and we were able to successfully work alongside Israel to defend them from this attack. Let me go to Carla.
Thanks, Pat. You said that the destroyers shot down Iranian missiles. Where do they come from? Were they all from inside Iran, or was some also from Yemen being shot by the Houthis?
Carla, to my knowledge, and again, we're still assessing this, these were all launched from Iran, ballistic missiles. And what I said was that they fired the interceptors towards those missiles. So.
And then were any other U.S. assets involved in this defense?
Of course, we have a lot of capability in the region, a lot of things that are there to be prepared for a wide variety of threats. But in terms of the launching of these interceptors, it was those 2 destroyers.
So just being clear, no ground-based interceptors were used in this.
Correct.
Were the were you aware of any duds that didn't fire off, that maybe Iran wanted to fire more than the roughly 200?
As I mentioned, we're still assessing the outcome of the attack, and so we'll have much more information later. But these are all, our initial reports.
And then on the second call with the Secretary and Minister Gallant, did he urge Israel not to respond or to moderate any response to Iran, or did Gallant share any of Israeli intentions for their potential response here?
Well, again, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I'm just not going to be able to get into the details of their call, other than to say, again, we're consulting closely about next steps and the continued defense of Israel.
What does Secretary Austin think about the potential for an Israeli response here? Would he urge them, without saying what he said in the call necessarily, but what are his feelings about the potential? Would he urge them restraint or?
Well, look, if you take a step back here, we fully support Israel's right to defend itself. You just saw a very significant ballistic missile attack by Iran against Israel. And so, we'll continue to work alongside them to support their defense. We, of course, do not want to see a wider regional conflict. You've heard us say that many times, and we'll continue to work towards that end. But we also fully understand the fact that this was a significant attack by Iran, and so we're going to continue to consult closely, and we're going to continue to support their defense. Let me go to Laura.
Thank you. Just a couple of clarifications. Did you say that the U.S. destroyers had intercepted or shot down the missiles, or just that they fired?
I said that they fired approximately a dozen interceptors against the incoming Iranian missiles.
Okay. And were there any U.S. aircraft that shot interceptors at Iranian missiles?
What I've read out is what participated in the defense of Israel. Okay.
And then, sorry, just one more. Can you say if there were any drones or cruise missiles that were involved in the Iranian
Again,
attack?
still assessing it right now. It appears it was ballistic missiles, no drones, but again, we'll continue to assess. Let me go to Joseph, and then we'll come here.
Thank you. Just wanted to turn to the Israeli invasion in Lebanon. For the past couple months, the department and the secretary have called for de-escalation. You guys have voiced your opposition to any ground incursion, invasions, limited operations. After we found out that the Israeli strike last week killed the Hezbollah chief, Hassan Nasrallah, it seems like the tone changed. From the statements last night, the department and secretary said they supported what Israel is doing. So what changed for a change in that tone and that stance from the department?
Well, they knew it was happening.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Joseph, is we fully support Israel's right to defend itself against Hezbollah. As we understand it, they will be conducting limited operations to destroy Hezbollah infrastructure that's arrayed along the border there that could be used to threaten Israeli citizens. And so we're continuing to consult with the Israelis to better understand how they intend to go forward. Obviously, I'd refer you to them to talk or ask questions about details regarding those operations. But we fully understand as part of their overall efforts to return people home that they do need to address those threats that are along the border there. And so all that to say, we will continue to consult with the Israelis and other partners in the region long term about how we can ultimately de-escalate those tensions and get to a ceasefire.
Have they asked for any help from you guys doing whatever it is that they want to do?
No. Yes, sir.
Were the United States surprised by the scale of the Iranian attack on Israel?
Well, look, like I said before, we've been monitoring this for a while. Iran had been very public about its threats to retaliate, and so it's something that we've been monitoring. Certainly, this was a significant attack, probably about twice the size in terms of scope of what we saw earlier. But again, we're still assessing the outcomes of this. And as I highlighted at the top, we certainly condemn this reckless attack, this direct attack against Israel, and we'll continue to support Israel's defense.
Several Israeli media spoke about a response tonight, Israeli response tonight to this attack, including some, not just Iran, some other Middle Eastern countries. will the United States be assisting the Israelis in their response?
Well, I'm not going to speculate about hypotheticals. I'd refer you to the Israelis to talk about,
I'm asking about will the Americans help them with their response?
Well, what you're asking me is if they're going to do something, and what I'm saying is I'm not going to speculate about what or if they may do. As I highlighted to several of your colleagues, we're consulting closely with the Israelis in terms of next steps, with the emphasis being the defense of Israel. So let me go to this side of the room. Oren.
Essentially a follow-up to that question, is the U.S. willing to strike Iran in response to this? Are you putting that on or off the table?
Well, look, Garnett, again, I don't want to get into hypotheticals. I think I was very clear at the top that should U.S. forces be targeted by Iran or its proxies, we'll take necessary steps to defend our people. And I think we've also been very clear that we're going to support the defense of Israel. And so I'm not going to get into theoretical or speculative operations at this stage, other than to say, we mean what we say and we say what we mean.
And then a follow-up question.
What kind of
Iran
freaking answer is that? Can you answer? Are you what? What? Goodness gracious! Come on! Like the world wants to know. As we just found out, the United States intercepted some of these missiles from Iran. As, of course, they were expecting this to happen. They were warning that this was happening. And as soon as the missiles were launched, they were telling American citizens, hey, go hide. Now's the time to go in the bunkers. And, of course, a lot of people did hear as, let's just be honest here, an attack on Israel is also an attack on the United States. That's how a lot of neoconservatives see it. That's how a lot of people in the establishment see it, whether you like it or not. That's how Lindsey Graham sees it. And he is happier than a pig in ish today, as Defranzer Memes, a great meme maker, just released this video with Raytheon behind him.
Oh boy, I'm about to bust. Oh boy, I'm about to bust.
Yeah, that's that right there. Is the chief kind of neocon right now. Again, a lot of this we foretold. We foretold a lot of this. We told you a war with Iran on the table. October 1st. October surprise is here. It's going to be major. It's going to be huge. Before we play more from the U.S. Pentagon, Mark Meyer just became a new member on YouTube. Don't become a new member on YouTube. Become a new member on LukeUnfiltered.com. That's where we are going to callers. That's where we do our meetups. That's the official place to sign up. We're going to put it, again, in the comment section, and we're going to tell you guys to, of course, click it in the description. LukeUnfiltered.com. You appreciate my 20 years of work and dedication towards the truth, towards investigating, towards putting all the pieces together. Sign up right now. Click the link down in the description below. Sign up for less than 20 cents a day to LukeUnfiltered.com. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. Just put in your name, your email, your credit card information, bada bing, bada boom. And therefore, we will have more on the ground. I want to have reporters on the ground in Israel. I would have that if more people would sign up, if we would get more support. And that's what I pledge. That's what I promise for you guys. As the Iranian state television just released new videos of what they're calling Operation Truth Promise 2. Again, this is Iranian state media propaganda that is being released right now. I don't think there's any audio here. But this shows you the missiles that were launched from Iran that made their way here, that according to Iranian sources, went after Mossad headquarters and also took out an Israeli airfield, allegedly, according to Iranian sources. Now here comes the sound from this particular video about these missiles that were shot at, that the Iron Dome, as well as U.S. military defenses, shot down. Now, what will be the major kind of implications from all of this? Well, full-out war, full-out energy crisis in the Middle East, and a larger conflict that will unfold in the region that will destabilize the Middle East and destabilize the rest of the world here. As, again, this is Iranian state propaganda media now showing videos like this of the rocket launches that came from their country that made its way to, of course, Israel. Let's continue on and let's see what the Pentagon is saying.
A new Fatah missile, which is supposed to be a hypersonic ballistic missile. Can you assess whether they did use new and advanced weaponry in this attack and whether they learned from the April attack?
Again, we're still assessing the attack and the outcomes, and so we may have more to provide later, but I don't have anything on that right now. Dan.
Thanks for your time. Two questions, please. On Secretary Austin's statement last night, he referred to being supportive of operations along the border. Is he open to Israel using operations on both sides of the border? Along the border was a little vague there.
Well, I think I'd go back to how I responded to Joseph, right? We understand and support Israel's right to defend itself against Hezbollah, as we highlighted in the readout. We understand that part of that is dismantling some of the attack infrastructure that Hezbollah has built along the border. Certainly, again, we don't want to see this, broaden into a wider regional conflict, but we understand, again, that what Israel is doing are limited operations to destroy that attack infrastructure and then enable citizens on both sides of the border to return home. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we do think that a diplomatic resolution is the only way to achieve lasting stability and security across the Israel-Lebanon border. So, we're going to continue to work to that end. But we also, again, understand Israel's need to defend itself.
What an Orwellian statement. He was just given the exact talking points, and he's like, yeah, just run around this, just jump around this. Again, this is war. This is all-out war. The October surprise is here just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier in 2024, here we are. Some people in the chat room are asking, what is the Samson option? As we have a poll going on the YouTube chat saying, will the Samson option be used? And 49% of people said yes. 51% of people said no, with over 1,239 people voting. As it's fair to say, it's like a 50-50 mix here. Overwhelmingly, people on the fence here about this very kind of particular issue. Now, it looks like the Iranians launched their missiles. They just officially declared, hey, you better not retaliate. The Israelis are going to retaliate, as the Israelis responded, yeah, we're going to do a major airstrike soon, according to ADF sources, and they're probably going to be dismantling and attacking a lot of Iran's energy infrastructure, which will have severe effects on the global energy markets out there. Samson option is what a lot of people are asking in the chat room, is essentially Israel being attacked on all fronts, and as they're potentially losing a conflict, they will launch nuclear weapons as a kind of last resort, last-ditch effort in order to avoid total obliteration. That's an option that, of course, has been talked about for a very long time. It also has some kind of biblical and religious kind of significance as well for a lot of people. And that's the level of severity that we're kind of discussing here. As it's fair to say here, the United States probably will be involved one way or another with the larger retaliation here. Let's continue on. Let's hear more from the U.S. Pentagon.
A follow, the State Department read out a report on an attack on diplomatic facility at Baghdad Airport last night. Have you seen any other attacks on U.S. forces, I guess, since Friday? This one would seem to be on a diplomatic facility, but be it in the last day, particularly at this heightened time of tension, or just broadly over the last couple of days?
Yeah, as of right now, I'm not aware of any additional attacks. Thanks. Sir.
The Iron Dome, how effective is it against ballistic missiles? And some of the televised images appeared to show some of them landing on infrastructure. Are you aware of that? In general, was this attack more effective than the Iranian attack in April?
Again, understanding that a lot is still very initial. As I highlighted, initial indications are that there was minimal damage on the ground. In terms of the specifics, though, I'd have to refer you to Israel really to talk through that. And again, as more information comes in, we'll certainly know more. But the initial assessment is that Israel was able to successfully defend itself, of course, with the support from the U.S. And so, again, we may have more later on that. Helene?
Thanks, Pat. I just want to be clear because it seems like we're at a very dangerous time where any kind of ambiguity from the U.S. could lead to an attack on American troops. And when you say I understand when you say that we're going to defend any attack at American troops. I also understand that that you said that no American troops were hurt. Therefore, are you saying the U.S. is not planning on a kinetic strike against Iran? Because right now, when you say there will be consequences, all of that, you're leaving it vague and people don't understand. And I want to understand, are we going to be joining Israel in hitting back against Iran in a kinetic manner?
Yeah, so with all due respect, you're talking about a hypothetical future, right, and presupposing what Israel may or may not do. So I'm just not going to talk about...
But you said there will be consequences, and Jake Sullivan said there will be consequences. So
right,
what does
and
that
I think
mean?
broadly speaking, the U.S. has been clear that there will be security, economic consequences should Iran attack, but I just don't have anything to preview specifically as it relates to that. All right. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Pat. Just to clarify, did any U.S. aircraft track any of the missiles either before the launch or during the attack, even if they weren't involved kinetically in the defense of Israel?
So I won't go into specifics, Chris, other than to say, as you well know, we have a wide variety of ISR capabilities throughout the region to monitor and track potential aerial threats, to include aircraft that do that. So I'll just leave it there. Okay. Charlie.
Thank you, General. I know you said repeatedly that Iran...
So we got another super chat here from Cody Justin Fannin saying, Alex Jones just said Israel officially declared war. I haven't seen Israel officially declare war. Israel has been in a state of war for a while now, ever since they, of course, decided to invade Palestine, ever since they, of course, now officially sent ground troops into Lebanon. And now their latest actions, their retaliatory actions against Iran, will kind of officially mean that they are in a state of war. They are in a war. They keep getting bombed by Hezbollah. They keep getting bombed by the Houthis. Now they directly have been bombed by the Iranians. So it's pretty clear this is only going to be a further escalation from here. That's going to be a very dramatic escalation that is dangerous for everyone in the world. There's another video that I just saw on Twitter that's being shared around right now that is just surreal, just showing you the true kind of horror, the true kind of negative, demonic, horrible, destructive energy that is being felt all around the world today. And there's going to be a lot more of this. There's going to be a lot more destruction, destabilized efforts, and problems in the Western world as we are financing this with our tax dollars. Here's a clip of reportedly an airstrike from Iran that affected an Israeli highway. And again, this is why I said from the beginning, these don't look like precision strikes. These don't look like they actually, affected actual legitimate targets. It looks like they just kind of threw missiles up there. And it looks like some of them did get through, as the United States also officially now on record participated in the defense of Israel and launched counter missiles going after and stopping some of the missiles that were shot by Iran.
No! You!
Yeah, crazy video footage.
You!
Now imagine that being you, or your family member, or your loved one. That's something, again, worth considering, especially when it comes to the larger kind of escalatory situations that a lot of people will want to see here. A lot of people want more of this, more bombs. Respond back. I'm like, you're crazy. You're a sociopath. You're a deranged lunatic that wants more death, that wants more suffering. Are you okay? No, you're not. You're probably hijacked by these larger demonic entities that have hijacked any kind of rational, critical sense, as you are now overwhelmed by emotions, leading you to the hijacking of these interdimensional beings that are probably taking over your soul and saying death, destruction, murder. Why? Why? Did anyone ask why? Did anyone ask why we're squandering all this money? Did anyone ask why we're doing all this? No. Corporate media, full on. They're getting their talking points. War. Lindsey Graham, right now, gooning hard. War. The establishment, the Pentagon, the military-industrial complex. War. Absolutely crazy. That right there needs to be called out. Like, hey, you, stop. You're an idiot. You're a dumbass. Why are you doing that? I don't want to. Stop taking my money. Stop making me complicit in this. Stop taking my tax. Why? What? Life is short. Why spend it on destroying it? We got another mysuperchat.com. Thank you so much for using Streamlabs. We prefer you guys use Streamlabs. We got one from that weirdo dice maker, saying, quote, missed you guys last Wednesday and yesterday. Signing up as a member now. Well wishes and sending positive vibes towards your situation. Thank you. That weirdo dice maker for the $5 mysuperchat.com. It does mean a lot to us. Once you guys see what I'm freaking dealing with, you're like, wow, yeah, there's a concerted effort to try to take down independent media. That might take us out. That might wipe us out unless we get a lot of support from you guys. And I'm not just saying that for monetary purposes. I don't do anything for freaking money. I volunteer all the time. I volunteered for Alex Jones. I volunteered for Tim Pool. I volunteered for the Loose Change documentary. I volunteered. I didn't even ask. Like, whatever. Don't even pay me. I'll volunteer. Because we all got to come together now, or we're all going to be screwed royally. We're getting screwed royally by this awful situation that, of course, perfect way to start October 1st. And you think this is it? If you think, yeah, all right, yeah, October 1st, we got our October surprise. All right, yeah, one and done. Nope. And Donald Trump's playing ball with a lot of the kind of neoconservative talking points here that deserve to be raised in a critical fashion, that deserve to be pushed back more than ever right now. Because if they're not, we are on a full-on pathway, global world war with Iran, and that's stupid, and that is dumb. And that is something that I don't want to participate with. That is something that I don't want to give my money to. That is something that I don't want to give my energy to. And that is something that I think deserves to be shared and talked about widely more than ever. Anti-war voices are the opposite of the corporate media voices, and we need to speak up more than ever. Stop picking sides. Stop saying. You look at the chat room for a lot of these live feeds. It's all like I'm with Palestine. I'm with Iran. I'm with Israel. I'm with the United States. Stop it. Stop with the tribalistic gang warfare and stop blowing each other up. How about that? Oh, pray for Israel. Pray for Iran. Pray for everybody. How about that? Stop with the nonsense. If more brave, competent people stood up and said, enough is enough. Stop with this lunacy. This is not achieving anything. It's not helping anybody. Why are you doing this? What's the long-term objectives? What are we trying to do here? What? None of that. Absolutely. Sociopathic, crazy people have finally gotten their way, and now we are going to see larger escalations that will be absolutely devastating for the world to see. Let's continue on from the U.S. Pentagon military-industrial complex spokesperson.
It doesn't telegraph these attacks, yet from early this morning, we were told that an attack would be imminent. So we're getting some sort of information from somewhere. Based on whatever that was based on, where does Iran stand now? Is this just the first salvo? From your assessment, are they positioned to go ahead and pull the trigger again at will?
That's really a question for Iran. As evidenced by this attack, they certainly maintain the capability to conduct additional attacks. As I highlighted at the top, we call on them to halt any further attacks, and we'll continue to assess. We'll also continue to be prepared to respond in the defense of Israel should they opt to do another one. We certainly hope that they do not, but we obviously have to be prepared in that eventuality.
I just want to clarify, I think you said earlier this is twice the size and scope from the attack of April 13th?
Yeah, it's about twice as large in terms of the number of ballistic missiles that they launched from the last.
I believe it was their intent to actually do damage this time?
Well, look, you don't launch that many missiles at a target without the intent of hitting something. So absolutely, just like the last time, their intent is to cause destruction. And so Fortunately, Israel has very significant air defense capabilities, and the U.S., of course, played a role in helping on that front as well.
Yeah, the United States doesn't have those same capabilities. Donald Trump's like, hey, they have an Iron Dome. We paid for it. We facilitated it. Where's our Iron Dome? Which we're going to need, especially with how many enemies we're making around the world. Sorry, I've been going live for the last few hours. I still have like 20 news articles I need to show you guys. We're going to be back, by the way, too, with Roger Stone and Alex Jones, which we are going to be going live with in just a few hours from now with a special broadcast if they don't cancel the presidential debates. I don't think they will. But even if they do, we are still going to be live in studio with Roger Stone. Alex Jones is going to be calling in. We're going to be live on his broadcast. He's going to be live on our broadcast. And we're going to have, the meeting of the minds of these OGs. Again, Alex Jones has been doing this for 30 plus years. Roger Stone has been doing this for like 40, 50 plus years. I've only been doing this for 20 years. These guys are the OGs. And I have a high amount of respect to all of them. We got another super chat here from Wolf Trace 6 saying, at this point, I'd rather my taxes finance gender reassignment surgeries than continuing these BS proxy wars. Let's collectively stop paying our teas. Cheers all. Again, you got to be careful calling for that. I think that's the federal government sees that as a federal offense. And I don't know if that was an attempt to potentially set me up by saying that. But again, not an easy situation to be involved in. You got to be super careful out there. Truly unfortunate situation as our money is absolutely being wasted away for the future of these conflicts. So still got a lot of things to say here as the Pentagon is still releasing their statements.
Thank you. Matt?
Thanks, Pat. You said there have been no new attacks on U.S. forces in the region, but is the department tracking a greater threat now to U.S. forces, and are you taking any extra measures on top of the recent plus-ups you've done for force protection?
Well, Matt, I mean, as you know, we're always taking force protection very seriously. We're all very well aware of the heightened tensions in the region, and U.S. Central Command has been, for a long time now, constantly assessing and reassessing the threat to ensure that our forces are protected. Like I mentioned, I'm not aware, as I come to the podium, I'm not aware of any additional attacks beyond the one that Dan mentioned, but it's something that we'll obviously be keeping a close eye on to protect our forces.
Secondly, were there any other nations other than the United States and Israel who took part in intercepting missiles or helping to track them or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have anything to provide on that, and obviously I wouldn't speak for other countries from here. Yes, sir.
General, I'd like to ask you if you guys talk to the European allies and if you ask for military support in protecting Israel in case of another attack from Israel or the proxies, or is at the moment it's only the U.S. Helping Israel military-wise?
Well, I'll allow other countries to speak for themselves. I will say, and we'll put a readout on this this afternoon, as soon as we're done here. The Secretary did have an opportunity to talk to his French counterpart earlier this morning, just to talk about the situation in the Middle East. This was before the Iranian attack occurred. And so, we'll get that out momentarily. Broadly speaking, though, again, in terms of any European coordination or cooperation with Israel, that's really for individual countries to talk to. I won't speak to them. Let me go to the phone real quick before I get in trouble. Task and Purpose, Jeff Schogel.
Thank you. I understand that the destroyers fired...
We have a super chat here from the Beacon saying this whole thing feels overhyped. I understand how you're feeling, but there's a lot of hype behind it. And there's going to be a lot of people overplaying this. There's going to be a lot of sensationalistic takes here. And there's going to be a lot of that with the drive to start a bigger conflict and a bigger war here. There already is a pretty significant one unfolding in the Middle East that's absolutely inconvenient to everything that's happening in the world right now. But lots of hype, but they're going to overplay this. Let's just be honest here. You're the neocons, right? You're the warmongers. You're a Lindsey Graham. you're going to be, of course, making sure that everyone knows this happened. Therefore, we need to retaliate in order to justify their larger retaliation, which, again, is going to be, in my opinion, a very significant one. As there's already Israeli news sources coming out saying that there's going to be a major airstrike in the Middle East tonight. What will that airstrike mean? Will there even be an airstrike? I don't know. But with nuclear weapons involved here, with potentially even the Russians giving Iran a nuclear weapon, anything and everything is on the table. Yes, lots of hype, lots of craziness, and this is only the beginning of the craziness coming our way.
About a dozen interceptors. Did they hit any of the missiles? If so, how many?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So again, we're, as you highlight, they fired the interceptors. We're still assessing, again, outcomes of that. So I can't really, I just don't have more information to provide at this time. Okay, let me go to Heather from USNI.
Hi, thank you so much. So you mentioned that the United States has the ability and intent to respond if any of its service members are attacked. Over on Friday, you had two U.S. destroyers and a LCS come under attack from the Houthis. Which is an Iranian proxy group. So would that give, is there any intention to launch any attacks in response to those service members coming under attack?
Well, first of all, Heather, as you are aware, there were no U.S. service members injured in any of those attacks. And as always, we will respond appropriately at a time and place of our choosing, but I'm not going to telegraph or, speculate on any punches at this time. All right, and Patrick Tucker, Defense One.
Hey, thanks for doing this. So on the announcement of 3 additional aircraft squadrons, F-15s, F-16s, A-10s, I presume that they weren't involved in any of the interception activity. Can you talk a little bit about why they're there and what role they might fill now in terms of enhancing security for U.S. forces in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we've been highlighting for a while, we have a robust amount of capability in the Central Command and U.S.-European Command regions. And what those capabilities provide us is versatility in terms of responding to a variety of contingencies. And so, basically having the right tools in the toolkit to be able to respond appropriately to any type of attack or contingency situation. And so, as you well know, Pat, fighter aircraft can perform a variety of missions to include taking down drones, taking down missiles, particular kinds of missiles, as well as providing ISR, electronic warfare, and types of capabilities. So all of this comes together to provide us with options on how best to respond to any type of attack and to protect our forces. Let me come back to the room here. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, General. First, on Iran, after today's attack and the expected response from Israel, is the assessment at the Pentagon still that the situation in the Middle East?
We got another super chat here from the Beacon saying mass immigration into America to offset voting powers and locals and creating a fortified democratic socialist state via voting bloc is more dire. Israel conflict isn't anything we can do on the micro. The Israel conflict does matter. I would kind of disagree with you just a little bit there, Beacon, because this also involves energy prices. This also involves international relations. And as you mentioned, having an open border, while openly fighting many proxy wars and financing a lot of other countries to fight other, groups and organizations that are known to be terrorists, while having an open border, allowing the terrorists to kind of walk on into the country and then do whatever they kind of want. Does highlight a very kind of ridiculous, crazy situation that is signaling more trouble for the United States. Let's get through this press conference by the Pentagon, and then once this press conference is over, we'll get more kind of details and assessment to everything that just developed right now, as of course we are covering the breaking news as it's happening. And severe, major October surprise here on October 1st. It's major. We told you it was going to happen. We told you Israel was going to invade Lebanon. They invaded Lebanon. Iran used this as an opportunity to attack Israel, and now Israel will be responding just as aggressively as the Iranians responded to them.
Under control, and we're not in all-out war yet. And the second question on Lebanon, excuse me, what's your understanding to what Israel is calling limited ground operations or incursion? Is it limited by, like, in time, in scope? How do you see this?
Sure. So in terms of your first question, as you know, we've been working very hard from the beginning to prevent a wider regional conflict. Certainly the type of aggressive action that we saw by Iran today makes that more challenging. But that continues to remain our focus and remain our goal, is to prevent a wider regional conflict. And so we'll continue to stay laser focused on that. In terms of Israel's operations, again, they're in the best position to answer questions, but our understanding in consulting with them is that, again, these will be limited operations focused on dismantling facilities that Hezbollah has built along the border to stage attacks into Israel. And so, part of those discussions, again, have been focused on making sure that there's an understanding as far as potential mission creep. And so as it relates to the broader tensions in the region. But again, we support their right to defend themselves from Hezbollah attacks. And so we'll continue to consult with them on that. As I mentioned, Wafa, ultimately, we do believe that a diplomatic resolution is the only way to achieve lasting stability and security there.
Now, the United States has been saying that for quite a while. And ever since its calls for diplomacy, we haven't seen any. We've seen a lot of bombs. We've seen a lot of attacks. We've seen a lot of ridiculousness. We got another super chat from the Beacon saying, quote, "I didn't say it didn't matter." Sorry if I misclassified what you were saying. He goes on and says, it's not something we can directly affect. On the micro, we cannot do a thing about it. I kind of disagree. It's kind of pessimistic kind of viewpoint. I think we can, especially when it comes to our voice, especially when it comes to larger anti-war efforts, especially when it comes to a lot of people saying enough is enough. Stop this nonsense and insanity. And, whatever you might think about the anti-war movement, I think it's more important than ever to have one. I think their results are mixed. A lot of people say, these protests or these voices don't actually matter. I think they do, because they need our acquiescence. They need our participation. They need to convince us to do a lot of these kind of nonsensical, crazy, sociopathic moves. And throughout recorded human history, they have always used false flag attacks in order to galvanize and stir up the general public to be in an emotional fervor to go along with the larger kind of demonic war efforts that people have been plunged into unwillingly. So it does matter. Our opinions, our voices do matter. And that's why we are speaking out today. And that's why I decided to, of course, go live today in my studio, even though I'm alone. Look at me. I'm all here by myself. Atlas is here as well. You see that little QR code? Right over there. Yep. Scan that with your phone, and that will allow you to sign up on our email list, because our days are numbered here on YouTube. Let's just be honest. Having these types of conversations, going against war, calling for peace, isn't that favorable in the algorithm that promotes the corporate media that, of course, are the biggest warmongers. So, again, you see that QR code right there? Right there. Scan that right now and then sign up to our email list. And that email list will, of course, get you all the latest updates, especially when we do in real life meetups, especially when we do live shows, as we are going to be doing a major one in just a few hours from now with Roger Stone, with Alex Jones here, returning back on the best thepoliticalshow.com. Also, we have enough-of-censorship.com, also linked down in the description below, that you could sign up, and then, of course, you get the email list directly there. And it's free. Doesn't cost you anything, and then you get updates with all the in-real-life kind of events and things that we do for members of LukeUnfiltered.com and the general public. So in case of full-on censorship, which usually does happen during times of war, emergency powers, we need to destroy people's speech because we're at war. That's a potential of what could happen here. Email lists are more important than ever. We got another super chat from the Beacon saying, quote, if the world breaks into chaos in World War III, how does the anti-war movement play a role? We should be focusing on our own invasion happening in real time. Beacon, there are a lot of things that, of course, play into a lot of different things, but I think just giving up and saying, yeah, let things happen isn't really the best kind of strategy here. There's a lot of important things happening. People have different opinions on what is more important here, but obviously there's a full frontal assault by the globalists, and I think becoming the best, strongest version of yourself is something that all of us need to be incentivized to do now more than ever. Time now. Look around your house. You need some supplies. What do you need? What are you going to run short of? Because the prices of it are probably going to go up, as energy prices are going to go up as well. Listen, I already been live for over 2+ hours. I have to hit the gym, I have to eat, and then I have to get ready for our live broadcast, 8 p.m. Eastern, later on today on this particular channel. So I'm going to call it here for now, but I will be back very soon with Roger Stone, Alex Jones, Clint Russell, Martha Bueno, Stephanie Marie, all live in studio here, where it's not just me. Scan that QR code right now. Scan it. And sign up so you could be in contact with us regardless of any larger censorship efforts that could happen at any moment and time. Already, there was an underhanded major financial attack on me that I might lose my studio over. Your support, more than ever, is needed. Sign up. Podcast episode coming in just a few minutes as well. All on the best political